So sick unit definition. So how do you call unit as sick? Who has the authority to say whether the unit is sick or not? Definitely the head of our finance institution in the country, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, has the only right to define sick unit. So because they will only classify whether the unit is sick or not. So sick unit is defined by RBI as it incurs cash losses for 1 year and likely to incur cash losses for the current year as well as the following year. So three consecutive years. For the past year it had a loss. Current year also it is going to have a loss. The following year also it is predicted to have a loss. So if you have three consecutive losses, out of which two losses happened and one loss is predicted, so that is going to be called as a sick unit. So cash losses for 1 year. Loss means, see, you investing 1 lakh, you're getting back the amount less than 1 lakh. That is going to be considered as a loss. Okay, even if the amount is 2,000 or 3,000, it is going to be loss only. So you cannot claim that the amount is very less. No. So whenever you are going to have a cash loss for the previous year, current year, and then following year, that you are going to get classified your industry as sick unit, and the unit has an imbalance in its financial structure. Okay, so it is going to have an imbalance in the financial structure. We have seen about the debt and equity concepts, right? So for any financial institution, the debt should be very, very less compared to equity. And I told you, you will get loans only depending on the debt equity ratio. That debt equity ratio has to be very, very less. So for this sick unit, since you have losses occurring for three consecutive years, we say that the debt is very much larger than the equity. More than the reserve cash what you have, the debt is going to be larger. So cumulative losses exceed capital and reserve. So cumulative losses, so at the end of 3 years, if you find the total loss, it is going to be more than the amount you have invested plus the reserve cash what you have in hand. So these three conditions, RBI says that if these three conditions are prevailing in a given enterprise, then you can classify that enterprise as a sick unit. I'll again say the first point is for the past year and the present year you have cash loss, and for the next year also we are predicting that a cash loss might happen. That is the first point. Okay. Second point is the debt is very, very large compared to equity. So I told you for any institution, the debt to equity ratio should be as small as possible, right? So that determines the financial stability of any institution. So here the debt is very much large compared to equity. And finally, the cumulative losses are going to exceed the capital and reserve. Okay, so these three conditions, if they are occurring in a given in any institution, you can call that as a sick unit. And how does sickness happen? So sickness will not happen all of a sudden. It is a gradual process. So suddenly a unit first year they might have a loss, second year suddenly they might have a profit. So with 1 year you cannot say whether the unit is sick or not. It does not happen all of a sudden. Also, it is a gradual process. So it takes 5 to 7 years to corrode the health of the unit. So minimum you have to assess the institution for 5 to 7 years. Then only you can say whether the unit is going to be sick or healthy. Because with 1 year you cannot come to a conclusion. So observe the unit for 5 to 7 years and see what can be the financial status after 7 years. If you feel that the cash flows are going to be lost for the last 3 years and the above 3 points what I said are going to be satisfied, then you can classify them as a